Hey, let's talk about John Cena. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be wrestling Booker T here in the first of their best of 5 series for the U.S. title. I think longtime wrestling fans remember the best of 7 series with Nikita and Magnum TA with JCP, and
Right.
tried it again with the TV title, I believe, with Booker T and Chris Benoit and WCW. And now it's John Cena's turn. And they only go 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Here's what Meltzer had to say. Cena looked bad on offense, even in a short match. You can really see the difference in quality of a worker that Booker is compared with Benoit or Angle, who got great matches out of Cena. Most of this match was watching Cole miss call kicks and Taz correcting him. Lots of timing issues at the end, and Cena used the FU out of nowhere. 3/4 of a star. Listen, this is before John Cena is John Cena, but we're making him. We're trying to create him here.
It's a process.
Yes.
It's a process. It's going to take some time. And you just hope that it gets over because we're investing the time and the creative on him. The one thing you always knew about John, you could rely on him. He's going to come to work. He's going to do his thing, and he was just such a valuable asset in the locker room, notwithstanding all the Make-A-Wish projects that he was working on. He made a lot of kids that were terminally ill happy, and that's hard to put a value on that.
We should spend a little bit of time talking about the next match. It's Edge and Chris Jericho and Batista. It's a 3-way match, a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. At this point, Batista is certainly destined for stardom. He's going to be a world champion. At this point, Jericho already has been, and we're still trying to get there for Edge. We know he's on deck. You've got so many major talent on the cusp of being bigger stars, whether it's Rob Van Dam or it's John Cena, or here it's Edge and Batista. But you've got 2 faces and 1 heel. That's got to be, triple threats as a whole feel like they're probably more challenging than a regular match. As the guy who's trying to put lyrics to the music the performers are making, do you find that more challenging, a triple threat versus mano a mano?
A little bit. It all depends on how the talent's working. If the talent's buying into the concept that it's every man for himself, and they act accordingly to that concept, it's not hard at all. I looked at that picture a while ago that Bull put up there of those 3 guys, thinking that, Alpha trained Batista, Stu Hart trained Jericho, Tom Pritchard, Dory Jr. trained Edge. They all had good mentors. That was important. And they are already at that time, they had great training, great coaching, mentorship, and so forth. So that was a unique match. Little did any of us know how big all those guys were going to become. And they all became huge. They all became world champions.
Shout out to Ron Hutchinson for getting Edge going too.
Yeah, Ron did a hell of a job. Ron probably was at the very beginning of that line that helped promote Edge because he was a Toronto guy.
Yeah.
And so forth. So Ron did a great job. That's my bad. I missed that one, but I didn't miss his work. He did a great job. He was a good coach and a good fundamental teacher and a good guy. That means something in my world. It means something in my world. I wouldn't want to compare him to Buzz Sawyer as a coach, because Buzz was a crazy human being that he's passed away, obviously, but you got to have a good base. You got to have guys that have character and integrity. And my God, you look at Edge, for example, we had Ron Hutchinson there to help. You had Dory Funk Jr., pretty good. And Tom Pritchard, who was very underrated in my view, one of the best coaches in the business, still is. So it was just the pieces started coming together in a nice, comfortable package. And now the next thing is it's going to be up to the talent to take it to the next step, take it to the next level, improve your game, take away all the little nuances that you're doing that may not be totally advantageous.
Were you surprised that this crowd in Toronto turned on Edge in this match? I mean, he's one of their own. He's supposed to be, a babyface and a big star here, and I don't know. It's weird that the fans turn on him, and as a result, he's going with it. So he starts making sort of heelish facials. But this was written about a lot in the newsletter that I think everybody expected Edge to be like the hometown hero, but that is not the welcome he got.
No, but he worked through it.
Yes,
that's the beautiful part about him and his coaching and his teaching. He steered the course, and you sell what the audience is buying. It's that simple. So I don't think he got thrown out of off his game too drastically. I don't recall that match being a bad match at all.
Did you prefer Edge's work as a heel or a babyface?
Heel.
Yeah, I do too.
Heel. Because he was beatable. He was a wrestling heel. He had great facial expressions that you alluded to moments ago. Just a real pro. And I'm happy he's in AEW now, and because he gets a chance to expand his own creativity. Tony Khan is supportive of the talents with their idea, especially the veterans. I don't know who's going to do what agent's going to lay out the match between Swerve and Bryan Danielson, but I can guarantee you it'll be a collective effort. And you got Danielson sitting at the head of the table on that particular creative thing. Not that Swerve doesn't do it or can't do it, he does. But when you got guys at that level, I believe that Swerve is maybe the most underrated world champion in the entire business right now. I might be overstating that. I don't know. We'll find out Sunday.
Well, something we did find out in our fifth match here, it's Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. It's a rematch from WrestleMania 20, and boy, is it a big one. They go 13 minutes and 38 seconds. Luther Reigns is on the outside. He had a cup of coffee with the company, and he actually interfered only one time. But they're playing off of the finish with the boot slipping off at WrestleMania 20. Ultimately, Angle gets the win, 3 3/4 stars. And it's written in the Observer later on that Kurt convinced Eddie that losing would actually be better for him. This is what a difference a year makes, from being at the top of the mountain and being the world champ to now he's in this spot. And I know that, we've heard a little bit from Bruce about the pressure that Eddie was under as the world champ and how much it affected him and how he wore the stress of being the top guy when things were maybe on a downward trend. Do you think Eddie was still under some sort of pressure or stress, or what was he like here in the summer of 2004?
He internalized a lot, Conrad. Eddie did. He overthought things sometimes. I spent many, many hours with Eddie at TVs and things going over stuff, not how to apply headlock. Had nothing to do with the mechanics of a wrestling match. It just had to do with his attitude, and don't be expecting too much. Don't be afraid to exhale occasionally. And but I thought that was one of the better matches on the entire show. And if it hadn't been, we'd all been shocked because you talked about two of the great workers in that era of all time.
Next up, something a little crazy. Triple H is going to wrestle Eugene at SummerSlam, and they go 14 minutes and 6 seconds. And if you want a reminder, the Dudley 6-man went 8 minutes. Kane and Matt Hardy, where the winner gets to marry Lita, went 6 minutes. John Cena and Booker T for the U.S. title went 6 minutes. The three-way with Edge, Jericho, and Chris Jericho went 8 minutes, and Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero went 13. So, of course, we're going to get Eugene and Triple H 14 minutes. Triple H had already developed a reputation for having the longest matches on the show, but I think everybody agreed at this point, except maybe WWE. As a fan, man, Eugene was best in small doses. That character got unanimously booed here in Toronto, which is happening more and more. And I don't think that they expected that. Like, I don't think this is a boo like we don't like Eugene. I think it's a boo of, hey, we don't want to see this character. We don't like this story. And there's a big pop in the match where Eugene's going to flip off Triple H and then hit a stunner. That gets a huge pop. But of course, it reminds everybody of Stone Cold. And then later we see him do the Hulk up and the leg drop and the whole thing. But in the end, Triple H gets the win. But this feels like a misuse of both Eugene and Triple H at a big pay-per-view. What say you?
Well, Eugene was an attraction player. He was a guy that you see occasionally in short dosage. And that's you hit it right on the head. You nail on the head there, Conrad. The less use of him is keeps him more effective. But it's like the boys thought, well, if I can get the difference in me working 10 minutes and working 13 minutes is a difference maker. It's more often than not, it's really not. If you're trying to stretch, you shouldn't have to do too much stretching in a pay-per-view, quite frankly. A lot of action, succinctness. Just, I don't know. I did, that match didn't kill me. We told a long story about it. It had legs. Were the legs running or walking? I guess that's another question one could ask. But I didn't hate that match, and I know that the traditionalists are not going to like it because of the presence of Eugene. He was a gimmick. He was an attraction guy. He's a frigging gimmick, and I had a lot of time for him. He was one of the stalwarts down in OVW. Nick Dennismore, and he paid his dues. Very solid fundamentally, but the gimmick just never resonated with the masses.